was approved for improvement. I think it's something it's called, for like getting not budget, but like having funds to improve it, and that includes kinds of those things that I mentioned before. And then with the committee next year, they're hoping to expand it to have a liaison faculty member from every college on there rather than just one AFO representative. So kind of keep the structure, but expand it so that more people know about what Accessibility Resources does. And then secondly, I came and announced that there was an Indigenous Peoples Day proposal being brought to the City Council, and that happened on Monday. We actually went to the workshop to make it a proposal to be proposed for the future, and that's to change the second Monday in October to Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day, which the campus here does recognize, but that would make it citywide. And overall, the president and council members all kind of expressed enthusiasm for it, but what was funny was that the mayor said he had his reservations about it, and considering it's something about American Indians, saying reservations is kind of an interesting word choice. I giggled. And we're currently discussing a final vote on the matter, so possibly mid-June. We have until October to get it done, so we're not like super on top of it, but overall, that's it. I'll stand for questions if there are any.
Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Thank you. Is there anybody else here for open forum?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce myself. Typically there is a microphone here, so I am going to use it, even though I probably don't need it. Set the example because we like to make sure that people can be heard when they're in this room. So, for those of you who do not know me, my name is John Bulcock, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Student Activities. I work with fraternity and sorority life, off-campus housing, and I also serve as the advisor to this group, the student government. So I will be a familiar face in the audience, in the gallery at most meetings. We will meet weekly with executive level leadership and the extended cabinet on the bi-weekly basis as well. So I am here to help answer questions that you might have. If you find that you get stuck or have questions about who to talk to about something, either Amber, the office manager for the Student Association, can help with that, and I can help with that as well. So we help communicate messages up and down the administrative structure here at the university. We help provide some continuity for the association. We've both been here long enough to see a few rotations of leadership. So, and we're here to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish as a Senate. You'll hear me talk about legacy quite a bit throughout the course of the year. So thinking about what your legacy is going to be when you're done with your term. What do you want to be able to look back and say that you've accomplished and done for and on behalf of your fellow students? So we ask you to keep that stuff in mind. But again, I'm a resource. I'm here a lot. So I'm not difficult to find. Our office is downstairs on the main level of this building, down at the far end by past Barnes and Noble, as close as you can get to Julius Sears, but be in this building. So know that we're here to support you in what we can do as a group. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those. Also, you'll hear a lot of important dates and things like that. So be sure that you're taking notes and making sure that you are able to stay on top of things. I think President Cronin will announce a retreat date for you possibly today, so that you can get that on your calendar far enough in advance to know that you've got some stuff to look forward to even in August. So when you get to be a leader at this level within the student body structure, we have to plan ahead. We have to think a long ways down the road so that we're not scrambling to get things done. It can still sometimes seem like we're scrambling to get things done at last minute, but the more planful we can be, the better off the results. So I encourage you to do that and to plan down the road and make arrangements as best you can. I will stand for questions if there are any questions.
Are there any questions for John? Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Hey, how we doing?
It'll get hot. Give it a second. Yeah.
Hey. I am Gabe. My name is Gabe, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the
Right into it.
Real close.
the MSU reporter.
There we go.
Your student newspaper, I Am Outgoing. I just came here to introduce our next editor-in-chief, David Bassi. He's very qualified for the job. He has a lot of plans. And gosh darn it, if he's not so handsome and classy. I will stand for questions for the both of us if you want to ask us anything.
Does anybody have any questions? Perfect, thank you. Are there anybody else in the gallery that's here for open forum? Yes.
Thank you. Is this on? Yes. My name is Joan Roca, I'm the Dean of the Library.
It's not on.
Oh, I need to learn technology.
There we go.
All right, and it's probably about time. I'm retiring this summer after 35 years at MSU. So this is my last meeting with students officially. But I wanted to congratulate you first for being elected and encourage you to be open, encourage you to think about the students that come after you. And also I wanted to, excuse me, I'm choking up. I wanted to make sure that you understand that the administration here is very open and wants to work with you. As an example, we have the Dean of the Day. Today is Dean Matt Cecil from Arts and Humanities. So at every meeting there will be a Dean to help you if you need anything for the academic affairs side of the house. So thank you and congratulations again. And I look forward to hearing about your work, but I will be out of the university. Thank you much.
Mr. President, just a point of privilege. For all the senators here, one of the guys who was a major partner in something called your MAV textbook checkout system, your reserve, was right here. He helped you do this partnership. Probably one of the most unique things that I've ever seen, where you had a bookstore and a library and the student government actually providing high-cost textbooks for 2-hour checkouts at no cost. So he was one of the people in the beginning of time that helped make that happen.
He was here first.
I'll add on to the kudos while we're talking as well too. One thing that some of you don't maybe realize, that the connection between the library and the CSU had a lot to do with this guy as well. Working with my predecessor in the student union and it's really transformed the university in some ways. Cold weather, nice connection, the academic world with the student affairs world as well. It's all for the good things, and you know, he's to be thanked for a large part for that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so going into that, I think we'll do a quick segue into who's formally recognized, but the Dean of the Day is Matt Cecil, Dean of Arts and Humanities. Thank you for joining us. So what we're going to do before we jump into the consent agenda is, I was told that some of you actually were not at the swearing in. So since we're here right now, those of you that did not attend the inauguration, we're just going to have you go up there and get sworn in now. So you can. So who was not at the inauguration? Perfect. So just go up to the front.
Really cool.
Right hand up in an oath-like fashion. I state your name.
I, Cole Kleinschmidt,
Will represent and serve
will represent and serve
the students of the student. Well, wait, I'm not there. The students of Minnesota State University, Mankato.
The students of Minnesota State University, Mankato.
In student life and academic needs.
In student life and academic needs.
And will uphold the mission.
And will uphold the mission.
Constitution.
Constitution.
And bylaws.
And bylaws.
Of the student government.
Of the student government.
I so affirm.
I so affirm.
Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to move into approval of the consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda. Is there any dissent to approve the consent agenda as it is? Okay. Consent agenda. Oh, yes, sir.
Dr. Jones just arrived and I think he was here for open forum.
Oh, of course. We're going to approve the consent agenda now and then we can jump back. Okay. Is there any dissent to the approval of the consent agenda? No? Okay. Consent agenda passed. Dr. Jones, would you like to?
I would. My apologies. I was hanging out with some really cool people and ran late. Not that you're not cool. Don't misinterpret that. Absolutely. I just wanted to first congratulate the new 86th. Is that correct? And in here, thank the 85th for a great year. You should be impressed with everything you've done this year. Continue to move our university ahead and represent students very well. It's been fun to kind of watch you debate and explore so many different topics this year. One topic in particular I just want to raise would be one which we've been working together on, and that's been working on the athletic and recreational partnership task force, if you will. I guess we have a better name for it, but it is an opportunity that we've been spending this past semester working jointly to figure out what are our athletic and recreational sports needs here on the campus. That group is going to be wrapping up. It sounds like on Friday they've got a meeting, so that both new as well as older are always welcome to attend that meeting as well. And as I talked to the chair, John Enquist, who's the associate director for undergraduate admissions, who's willingly led this group, we will be coming back early in the fall to kind of continue the conversation. And so just wanted to raise that point and see if there'd be something you'd be willing to be aware of as we start the next fall. So great work's been done, and I was looking at a draft of what they had earlier today, and I think you'll be really pleased with some of the recommendations that they're making jointly is from students as well as the university administration. So just wanted to raise that and watch for that early in the fall. Other than that, I'll stand for any questions if there are any.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks for slipping that in.
Okay, so now we're going to go into officer reports. President Stonage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First off, I'd like to congratulate you all around the table for being elected to serve for next year, and thank you for coming to our first meeting. I know that you might not have anticipated your first meeting being this spring, but it is. So I'm happy you all made it. I'm just going to go through a couple of different things to prepare us for next year. One thing to be aware of is we will not be having a meeting next week because it is finals week. So our next meeting will be in the fall when we convene for the first time next year. So as you all made it here, our meetings are 4 to 6 p.m. and those are mandatory that senators attend those. So I encourage you over the next 4 months to make sure that your schedule is clear of this time. As well, something that Vice President Ogunflami and John and I discussed and decided to move forward with is that next year the academic affairs committees and student affairs committees will be meeting at 5:30 on Wednesday every week. So those are two committees that either you will be serving on one or the other, whether you're an academic senator or you are a Res Life or off-campus senator. So I know that typically the meetings are scheduled from 4 to 6, our Senate meetings, but over the last year, our meetings have averaged around 45 minutes, and if they do go past 5:30, then the student affairs and academic affairs meeting will be pushed until it can begin. So in terms of being open for your schedule for next year, I would make sure that your schedule is free of class from 4 to 6:30 p.m. And it is mandatory that you serve on either of those committees as rules of being elected to this position, and as well that you attend these meetings. So you do have 4 months until then to look at your schedule and make sure things are clear, because the committees are where most of the work gets done efficiently, as well that you need to be at this table in order to properly serve your constituents. Speaking of committees, so senators are required to serve on 2 committees, one which you are already assigned to, and a second of your choice. So I have, thanks to David Cowan, a printed out list of all the different committee spots. So I'm going to pass this around. It doesn't have a description of necessarily what the committee work does, but if you can assume through the title what the purpose of the committee is, for you to look and start thinking about, okay, what's your second committee wanting to be and what do you want to do? And I am requiring that by next Friday, you email me or with the forum that we're creating for committee applications, you send me 3 top committees you'd like to serve on and an explanation of why you think you would best serve on those committees. And if you do not do that, then I will appoint you to one by myself. And so I would encourage you to pick one that you're interested in rather than being appointed to a committee that I choose for you, just to best utilize all of your talents and your motivation for whatever you are looking to change on campus next year. A second thing, recently passed by the 85th Senate, is that we require now senators to list an hour during the week of when they are available. And also, I'd like to point out, you all got this, Senator Chatty actually went through and put in all the information. So a quick round of applause, because that was a lot of work for her. And so I know you probably don't know what your schedule will look like exactly next year with work and classes, but that is something to think about over the summer, when and where your office hour, only one needs to be listed, will be held, because that is something that now is required of the Student Government Senate. So something to keep in mind over the summer, because we will be requiring that you submit that when we return in the fall. Next, so for the summer, it is not required that representatives from student government stay in Mankato. I know I will not be in Mankato. Caitlin will not. Vice President Ogun Palami will not be in Mankato. But I am going to pass around the sheet. Ignore the rip. I couldn't rip it cleanly. But I am asking for you to write down your name and whether or not you will be in Mankato. We have been asked by Jeremy Reisenberg, who works with New Student Family Programs, if we will have senators available through the summer to help with orientation. So 2 summers ago, I helped with Faisal Maria and Jacob Royce, who is a senator, and those 2 are the oldest board members. At 2-day orientations, student government is given a 5-minute slot to do a quick presentation. As I said, I had assisted with it 2 summers ago. It's really fun, it's really easy. You just go up real quick, give a presentation, throw some candy out at the new incoming students. So I asked you to write down your name and whether or not you'll be available to help with those. Like I said, there's only, I think, 9 2-day orientations, so it would just be 9 nights at 7 p.m. to 7:05 p.m. And I do know that we have a few people working with orientation this summer, so I encourage you to be available to do that, because it is a fun, quick thing, and I think it really benefits the incoming students to hear about what student government is right at their new orientation. And so if you are available, I will be compiling a list of people that would be interested in here in Mankato to do that. And I think it'd be really important, and I apologize that I won't be here this summer to assist with that. And then the last thing too, an important date to write down is August 21st to August 22nd. As a Tuesday to Wednesday will be our retreat that John mentioned. So this retreat is mandatory that people attend. It is a retreat where we'll get to know each other, have some fun. It will be at Camp Patterson, which is a camp about 30 minutes away. It's on a lake. We had a bonfire. We went swimming, we played games. It's a good time, but then also we get some work done where we learn about how to operate in Senate meetings. We do some goal planning. We just learn about different people on campus that are important to be aware of, different things like that. And that is in August, so I am expecting that over the next few months you'll be able to make arrangements that you'll be here. That is the week before classes start. Time? Oh, it starts. We're going to meet on campus at noon, no, 1:30. 1:30 p.m. on the 21st, and then we drive over there, we'll arrive by 2 p.m., and then we leave by 1:30 or 1 p.m. the next day. So it's not even 24 hours, but it's really critical that everyone's there, so that way you're aware of just the different training and opportunities to meet each other. If you know that you have a conflict, I do know there are some community advisors in the room and people that might have professional conflicts like that. I do anticipate to contact Residential Life to see if you will be available to lead training for those 2 days, but otherwise I'm expecting that everyone is there. And as I said, it's in August, so you have quite a while to prepare to make sure you're here, as well that it's the week before classes. I would assume most people will be back in Mankato by then anyway. And then also we will then, since we'll be here, we'll be able to be here for Welcome Week to assist in Choose-A-Palooza, be around campus, get to meet the constituents, especially the incoming students, and just make ourselves transparent on campus, and it's best to start that right away. I believe that's the end of my update. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for President Cronin? Griffin?
I just wondering if I could make a comment on a committee, if that's okay. Just really quick to add on to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that okay? Okay, cool. All right. This is still on, that's cool. Hi, I'm Griffin. I just wanted to add on Maverick Adventures Ad Hoc Committee. Lots of snaps. So it's a committee that was my baby last year, now it's up for adoption. And what we're gonna do is, so Maverick Adventures is a organization that is, well, not an organization, is being put forward to try to have a rental service on, like, yeah, a rental service, which would be like tents, canoes, stuff like that, along with like classes, certifications. If you do have any questions about Maverick Adventures, probably talk to Joe or Sam or, I don't know, there's a handful of people, me, I guess, if you want. Erica Thompson too. Otherwise, yeah, so there's the Maverick Adventures Ad Hoc Committee, which will be up next year, which was approved. So if you are interested in supporting that, you'll be talking about programming, what you'll be doing next year, how to get people to come to them, and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in that, make sure to write that down too. So cool, thanks.
Eric, it's not on that giant list. It's not on that list that's going around.
It should.
So it was ad hoc.
Yeah, it's an ad hoc, so it's not on there, but now you know. We'll get several of those ad hoc. Wait a year.
Yeah,
with that I yield.
Perfect, thanks. Does anybody have any questions for President Cronin? Okay, to your report, Vice President McClellan.
Hello, y'all. I'm excited to work with you guys this upcoming academic year. I think we're going to do amazing things with people of a diverse population and diverse backgrounds, no matter what that is or where that comes from or how you define that. And I'm excited to continue and start work with all of you. I know that this is going to be a great group. It has a lot they want to do and has a lot of they're going to accomplish. And I'm excited to be able to be a part of that and be able to help be able to help guide you guys and be a part of that. But, you know, like, how do we start that? We can't have a great Senate if, I don't know, all of y'all's amazing names and we don't know each other. So, guess what we're gonna do? No. Thank game! Right now? But not really. So, we're just gonna go around the room and say your name and what position you're holding, as well as favorite kind of ice cream. Because, you know, summer's around the corner. Whoa! Summer's around the corner. So, yeah. I hear.
So here's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to save that for later.
What? Did we not just discuss it?
So what we're going to do is we're going to move on. I'm sorry, it was a really good suggestion, that's great, but this is kind of like not the appropriate time for a name game. You guys will have ample time to go to the retreat and get to know each other's name. So, long story short, do you have anything else? Perfect. Does anybody have any other questions for Vice President McClellan? Perfect. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the vacancy elections. So if you're here to run for the speaker position, please stand now. And then, perfect, we'll just have you guys go up to the podium.
Yeah, he's supposed to do it.
Okay, thank you for coming. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to allow 1 minute open statement, of course, and then of course a 1 minute closing statement, and then in between, senators are going to get the opportunity to ask questions of the candidates. And then we're going to do, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do it the Nolan way, best way. So like say, don't make things, you answer the question, and then we go down the line, and then we start with Gracie again for the next question, go this way, and then You guys will understand once the game's going. So basically, the process is 1 minute open statement. We have questions, and then 1 minute closing statement, and then we leave the room, and then we deliberate, and then you get your choice, and then everyone's happy. So we'll start with Gracie, and your 1 minute will start when you start speaking.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Hello, 86 student government. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to present myself as a candidate for speaker. My name is Gracie Smith, and I would be honored and privileged to serve as your speaker. Student leadership has been the highlight of my collegiate career, and I believe that I possess the experience, skills, passion, and drive to not only effectively serve in this position, but to exceed your expectations. Throughout my servant leadership journey, I have acquired a proficiency in Robert's Rules, the ability to effectively plan and execute meetings, develop individuals as leaders and as people, hold student leaders accountable, and maintain an organization's mission through its operations and services provided. If I were to become your speaker, some of my goals would include implementing new transition practices, introducing new leadership development opportunities, and introduce a pedagogical approach to teaching Robert's Rules. I have a deep love for and appreciation for this institution and this governing body. I am looking forward to the opportunity to have you learn more about my qualifications, goals, and passion during question and answer.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is when you're looking up, I'm going to give you a 10-minute. That was actually perfectly on the mark. But when you have 10 seconds left, I'm going to give you the 10-second sign and then possibly the 5-second sign. And then I'm just going to tell you you're out of time.
Okay, thank you.
So, yep, no problem. Andrew, you're up.
Well, welcome everyone, and it's strange to say student government because we're MSSA, but I'm going to keep saying MSSA. It's great to see all the faces around the table. I'm running for speaker because I truly believe in meeting efficiency, knowing parliamentary procedure, knowing each other's names, being friendly with everyone, because overall the speaker is here to help each and one of you succeed. And if the speaker is here to help you, the student body will do well, and the school will do well. So I'm here to help you guys and not myself. I'm here to overall make a better impact. As you know, I wasn't elected, but I was a senator last year. I'm just looking to overall have a good 86th Senate.
Thank you.
Hello, senators of the 86th session. You're looking fantastic today. My name is Nathaniel Fusco, for those of you who don't know me. I first got involved in student government during this previous fall semester, and during my term as Social Behavioral Sciences Senator, I really have come to love this organization and what it stands for. I'm hoping to take the next step in my involvement here today by assuming the speaker position. I plan on using my experiences chairing for Model United Nations and Model Arab League conferences, as well as my experience at the Mankato Public Schools Volunteer Engagement Office to help make sure that this year runs as effectively and efficiently as possible. I look forward to hearing your questions, and I do hope you'll consider my candidacy for the position. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll be opening up the floor for if anybody has questions for the candidates. Vice President Ogunflami?
What is something that led you to want to be speaker?
Definitely.
So I'm just going to say you do have a minute, and then we're going to be going Nathan this way, Gracie this way. Makes sense. Perfect. Okay. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So, during my experience the past couple years chairing for Model UN and Arab League conferences, I really come to have an appreciation for parliamentary procedure. I've worked in various different sorts of procedure styles through those conferences, and I particularly appreciate Robert's Rules because of the freedom that it allows the speaker to make adjustments to it depending on what they believe would make it for the most efficient meeting. So I'm looking forward to this position because I've had a lot of experience with parliamentary procedure like in the past, but I've not had a lot of freedom to kind of make changes based on what I think would work best. So for me, I think I'm going to have a great time sort of trying out things and working with you to find what style is going to work best for us during our meetings.
Thank you.
So what led me to run for speaker is seeing everyone's face around the table. I know a lot of you, and I like spending time with all of you. Overall, the speaker's here for you guys. So I'm here to help make every one of you guys as senators and president and vice president do well and have the student government be the best it can be. A part of knowing parliamentary procedure, I love meeting efficiency, knowing faces, knowing names, having a good environment in the Senate, and just spending time with you guys. You know, in my office, having office hours, in committees, seeing everyone in there, seeing everyone in the office. So it's just here for you guys.
Hi everyone. So I'm interested in being your speaker because my involvement within the Senate in the past and my involvement currently has brought me a lot of worth within my life and during my collegiate career. Currently, I don't know if you've heard, has anyone heard of the National Association of College and University Residence Halls? It's the largest student-run corporation in the world, actually. It's pretty cool. And I got involved with that through the Residence Hall Association. I'm currently serving as the Midwest Director. And as the Midwest Director, I have to chair all business, both virtual and in person. So I've had a lot of experience chairing meetings, and I've really developed an appreciation and love for the way meetings work and the way that they can be most applicable to everyone. Through my role, I actually developed my own sort of like pedagogy for teaching Robert's Rules, because I realized if even one person in the room isn't certain about what's going on, then this body is not acting effectively. So I'm very hopeful that I can bring that as speaker. Yeah.
Okay. For next question, so you guys can stick out your arm and then I'll recognize you and put you on the speakers list for a question, so you don't have to wait until the third to say you have a question. So next up on the speakers list, President Cronin.
What is your experience with this student government?
So specifically with this student government, I was very involved my sophomore year. I served as a residential life senator and as the academic affairs coordinator and served on several committees. The academic affairs coordinator doesn't have to serve on other committees per your governing documents, but I really enjoyed that committee work, and I especially enjoyed Meet and Confer specifically. But I also was involved within Students United, and I attended all 3 conferences and was also responsible for writing a few motions as well and seconding others. So that has been sort of my involvement specifically within Senate. I also was on a couple of committees within Students United as well.
So I was Res Life Senator last year. I served on more committees than classes, and that's scary to say, but it's true. Overall, I like the committee structure. I've been to Students United before, been to every Senate meeting. You know, I've also been to MRHA president. I just got elected to that. So it's serving in these roles and knowing how committees work, how to make them effective, how to make Senate effective. Speaker's here to overall make the business flow, and the Senate isn't going to be good if we don't have a good speaker to make sure that committees are reporting on what they're doing, keeping senators accountable with their office hours and meeting with their constituents, and overall making sure student government's actually working, not just sitting idle for the student needs.
Gotcha. Over this past year, definitely my most proudest achievement as a senator was working through the diversity committee with collaborative events through the Lincoln Adult Basic Education Program, which is mainly like students in that would be ESL students, immigrants, refugees that are wanting to pursue their GED or English skills. I've done collaborative events with them. We recently went to the zoo just yesterday actually, and that was fantastic. I think that's a great opportunity that I hope to work on more next year. And the Academic Affairs Committee, I worked on coming up with an implementation program for open educational resources, looking at textbook affordability. I sat in on a number of student affairs committee meetings as well, putting input on some mental health initiatives we have coming up this year. And otherwise, also in my capacity for SBS Senator, I met with the, I went to the open forums selecting the dean for the next college. I did that too.
Thank you. Senator Quintan?
All right, so first of all, thank you guys for running. This is a really important position. But as a speaker, there's some characteristics that you need to possess. One of them being effective, and then one of them being having a flow of efficiency as you're running the meetings, like you guys all mentioned. So in terms of being effective and efficiency, which one would you prioritize?
So the question was between effectiveness and efficiency, correct? Gotcha. Definitely, I think we need to prioritize effectiveness over like efficiency, because having like efficient meetings is good, but we are still here to get things done. I think it's very important that the speaker comes into the role with that in mind, that we're wanting to run the meetings in the way that allows us to get the most done in the most like effective amount of time. While I will be looking a lot at like being able to step outside of like Robert's rules, like our previous speaker Nolan did quite a bit, in order to facilitate the effectiveness and kind of dodge around the more tedium that can come with a lot of parliamentary procedure systems. I do think that we need to prioritize that what we do is something that we're doing well rather than getting things done fast.
Great question. So I would say effectiveness. If meetings take long, so be it. As long as we're doing the interest of the student body, then we should have a discussion. One thing I like to say is that I like to be like Nolan. He stepped out of bounds a little times, and he kept debate going and ended it and said, you know, we should end it when it needs to. Overall, we want to be effective with our time here because everyone has class, everyone has tests, we get that. It's just we need to be effective with our time choices and making sure that we're always working whenever we can to further our constituents' interests.
So I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I believe first that effectiveness and efficiency are both important within the Senate, but I believe it's everyone's job to be an effective Senate, and it's the Speaker's job to not only ensure effectiveness but also ensure efficiency by running meetings. It's the Speaker's job to make sure that the meeting is running efficiently and that Robert's rules are being followed and that everyone does have that same equitable platform to share their ideas. So I think that's a very important component of being the Speaker. And I think that I would be able to do that well. In the role that I'm serving in now, and my term ends in May, I've had to run meetings not only in person, but also virtually in video conferencing software. So trying to run Robert's rules and maintain order while everyone's not only in a different state, but on a screen, that was incredibly difficult. So I think that being able to manage that, I'd be just fine doing it in person, and I've done it as well. So thank you. Oh, stay, sorry.
Senator Roebuck?
Oh, yeah. So what do your time commitments look like for next year?
Yeah, so currently I only have one set time commitment. I am part of our National Residence Hall Honorary, and that is a weekly meeting. I am looking at continuing involvement within my residence hall, within this residence hall organization that I'm a part of now. But since it's a virtual organization, it's very much so you do the work when you're able to do the work. So business hours and anything else, it's incredibly flexible. So I don't see any issues coming up. I'm here because I'm dedicated to serving the Senate and everything that's required within that, and the time commitments associated as well.
So the only other time commitments I have next year is, besides school, just being RHA president. While some people may think, oh, that's a lot to do, it's really not. RHA is a team effort. You know, there's 6 other people plus a full-time staff member. So part of that, the only thing I would be doing as speaker is meeting with you guys, being more transparent, being in my office, being open to you guys through email, because I live across the campus in my dorm. Overall, do I think I'll have time to do it? Yes, I will. I know Nolan for a fact, he had more stuff to do than I would, and he did speaker tremendously, so he's a role model to look at that.
Yeah, so as far as time commitments that I have arranged for next year, outside of classes, of course, I plan on continuing my internship at Lincoln. That's something that I go to at like 8 a.m. and I get done with that about 10:30 a.m. Monday through Thursday. My schedule will probably look like something like that next semester as well. Otherwise, I do also want to stay involved in Model UN and Arab League conferences. Those take place on the weekends, so it wouldn't conflict with Senate. And as far as other things that I've committed to this year, I've spent about like, not like on average, but it's not abnormal for me to spend like 15 to 20 hours in the Senate office like per week. And yeah, as other people could attest to. And that's not going to change with my new role. If anything, I'll be dedicating more time to that. I want to be present in the office. I want to be available to everyone. And that's going to be the biggest thing that I'm going to be doing outside of classes.
Senator Carlton?
What is one major strength of yours, one major weakness, and how can you use both of those?
I feel like a ghost just spoke to me. My biggest strength, I would say, is patience and the ability to think outside of my own context. Some of the things that I have learned through my social work and international relations majors is the idea of coming at a situation in an objective manner, kind of being aware of my own biases, what my perspective is, and stepping outside of that to look in a more objective fashion. That's the biggest strength I think that I'm going to be bringing to this position. As far as weakness is concerned, it's probably going to be overbooking myself. I have a hard time saying no to new initiatives. I'm really very much of a yes man, a bit of a people pleaser, and definitely something I'm going to have to watch in my role as a speaker is making sure that I say no to extraneous events that I'm offered to do so I can focus on my role as speaker.
So one strength I have that, has kind of changed since coming here to school is being observant. So for example, last year when I was in Senate, I didn't say much, but I paid attention to the conversation and where it was going and how to judge myself. And my biggest weakness is being too involved. For example, I was in more committees and classes last year, but I still had the time management and organization to further progress me being in those committees and meeting great people and further progressing my career here. Overall, I think being a neutral person is another strength of mine. I wait to see both sides. You just want to be neutral no matter if you're senator or even speaker itself, because you need to see this side's of discussion in an unbiased manner, and that's the importance of it.
Hi, so I would have to say my biggest strength would probably be empathy. It's something that I don't think is necessary, you're not born with. It's something that needs to be practiced and constantly examined. Every situation that I involve myself in, I like to see it from multiple perspectives and ask questions when I don't know the answer or I'm not certain where someone is coming from. And I think that would be incredibly important within the speaker role, because every single person here not only is different within themselves, but has an immense amount of diversity within their constituency as well. And I think that would be incredibly important for someone who's speaker to understand where people are coming from. I would say my weakness, and if I'm just being genuinely honest, is probably putting myself first or self-care. I'm someone who, when things aren't going well in my life or like things are getting stressful, I kind of dive into the work. And this year, the position that I hold right now is around like 30 to 35 hours a week. And I've had to learn kind of the hard way that I need to put myself first and develop myself as a person and as a leader as well. Stays.
Yeah, so my I'm just gonna yell, y'all. So there was a recent...
1 second, Griffin.
Typically, if there's going to be a question from the gallery, they need to be yielded to by a senator, Mr. Speaker.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Okay. We're going to get back to that. President Cronin?
Thanks.
Do you want the mic? I don't want to assume anyone can hear. I don't want to assume anyone can hear. So.
Okay, so on the 85th Senate, there was a motion that stated in the policies and procedures that through the speaker what would be appropriate for the Senate to wear. And I want to make sure that the 86 is very aware of what you would deem as appropriate of what they should be wearing to the meetings of the 86.
Yes, absolutely. So I did take a peek at that motion. It was talking about how dress code in general for Senate meetings and how we're looking at like a business professional approach and things like that. I think that that's something that should be maintained. If it's something that everyone agreed upon, then I think that's something that we should continue. I think that I will, just in general, with a new body of people, have to develop my own personal opinion on what is professional dress and what isn't. But I'm more than happy to continue that if that's what the body would like. But yeah, I also recognize that sometimes business casual or business professional clothes aren't always accessible to everyone. So that's another little aspect that might need to be discussed, but that can come later as well.
So part of voting yes on that motion, I totally know and understand what that's asking for. If I was given the role of speaker, I would wait and get to know you guys first and then decide, as a body, because the speaker's here to head you guys and to be here for you. So I would wait to see what your opinions are and what should and shouldn't be worn. Obviously, everyone here is dressed fine. I don't see any concern with anyone. Everyone at least has clothes on, just saying. So, but yeah, no, just be open to with you guys, seeing what you guys want, because overall you guys are the ones that are going to have to live with the policy. And I don't want to be too harsh as a speaker, but not too lenient.
Thank you. Yes, no, thank you, Griffin. I remember that motion very well, and I did vote in favor of that. And part of the discussion that I remember around that motion when we were debating it is the idea of appropriate and presentable as our main key points. And as far as like what that looks like, I think so long as you're avoiding the obvious things such as expletives on your t-shirts, like references to alcohol, that sort of thing, it's really something that has a lot of room for freedom. I know that I'm going to try to set a good example and wear like more fancy clothes as a speaker. It's not going to happen every day. And I'm very understanding as a student myself that not everyone has access to fancy clothes at all times, or depending on if you have like athletic events before the student event meeting, then that's something that I think we'll have a lot of freedom with, but I will be setting a good example myself. Thank you.
President Cronin?
What have you done to prepare for this role, and to go along with that, what are initiatives or ambitions that you have for next year if elected?
Definitely, I'm glad you asked that. As far as like what I've done specifically to prepare for this role after I knew that this is something I wanted to run for, I contacted the previous speaker, Nolan, and we discussed potential improvements that we can make in the collection of office hours and how meetings are run, how we can keep senators accountable to their responsibilities moving forward, as well as meeting with Ashley Strom to talk about the more electronic side of it, working through OrgSync within our organization and what we can do with that. And otherwise, I myself have been reviewing Robert's Rules in preparation for this event. I'm very confident in my abilities there. And yeah, no, I'm just excited to potentially serve.
So one thing I did before coming here today to present to you guys is not only dusting off Robert's Rules, but looking through the Constitution and bylaws, and meeting people like you guys, knowing your names, knowing your faces. I had a meeting with Nolan again, like Nathan did, and he showed me where Ashley Strong's office is and showed me everything that he needs to do and what he does. So getting a good look at the role within the current speaker, the former speaker, helped me get a better insight and awareness of what he does. For example, executive communication between him and the administration, being accountable to you guys with his office hours. And something I would like to do if given the role of speaker is finding a better way for office hours. So I know some people liked OrgSync, some people didn't, but it's just finding a better opportunity and way to do it. I know OrgSync is changing over the summer. And then maybe investing in clickers. I don't know, people like clickers, just saying. But
Can you repeat your question in full?
Yes, so I asked, what have you done to prepare for this role, and as well, what are future ambitions and endeavors that you might have for next year?
Absolutely. So the concept of speaker I've prepared throughout this year. If you can sort of picture, so for like Students United, that's like the state organization. So the organization I'm a part of is like the regional version of that, but for residence hall governments. So my role as chair has been essentially doing the same duties as speaker. So I've been doing those all year, so that's been helpful. But specifically within the Senate, I did reach out to Nolan, and I actually spoke with, I wanted historical context. I spoke to Speaker DeRuiter and Speaker Farah, so like the past since I've been on campus, the speakers that have served, just to get that historical context, so that was incredibly helpful. But specifically some things that I'd like to do are of course ensure that all meetings are executed accordingly. I'd like to examine our current accountability system and improve that accordingly. That's something I had to do a lot this year. I'd like to implement new transition practices that focus on professionalism, polish, significance, balancing reputation, responsibilities, and relationships, and introduce that pedagogy of Robert's Rules as well, so that way everyone understands. Yield. Stay.
Since Robert's Rules and parliamentary procedure is such an important part of running the meetings, what's your actual experience teaching and with it?
Absolutely. So I've had a plethora of experience with Robert's Rules. I served as the National Communications Coordinator for the Residence Hall Association. my first year on campus and into my second year, in which I served as the parliamentarian, so Robert's Rules was incredibly prevalent. And then this year I've served as the chair slash the director is the chair for all institutions. We currently have 42 institutions with one institutional rep, so I would sort of manage those meetings. But in addition, like I said, I did develop a pedagogy to like teaching Robert's Rules, and pedagogy is like an educational, like a style, a way of learning. And I did actually publish that within the organization that I'm a part of, and that's talking about utilizing many methods of teaching, okay? Not everyone learns the same, okay? Some people learn visually, some people learn verbally, some people learn physically. So I learned a way to teach Robert's Rules in using all three of those fashions, so that way everyone is on the same page, and it proved incredibly effective this year. And those are mostly first year, second year students, so I'm pretty confident that it would be okay.
If I had to get a t-shirt, I'd say I love Robert's Rules on it, because I really do. It's sad, but it's true. I've read Robert's Rules back front to cover, into the back. I love teaching people about it because I truly think it's something unique. It's another language almost. So it's knowing certain things like motions to reconsider, how to appeal the decision by a chair, stuff like that makes your voice heard here. And you all represent students around this table. So if your voice can't be heard and it can't be heard well, then we're not doing our job well. As a speaker, I love teaching people the Robert's Rules. I love to make it simple for you guys all to understand. And overall, I love just having it as a second language than English.
So in addition to my experience chairing Model UN and Arab League conferences, which is effectively the same role as the speaker during the last round, which was a couple weeks ago, the committee that I was chairing had 48 members on it, which is more than it is this body. In addition to that, I've also had experience as a teaching assistant for our Model United Nations course on campus. I've been doing that for the past 2 years, so I have been teaching first and second year students, not Robert's Rules, but parliamentary procedure, and it's very similar. And I think it can be done in a way that is very simple and easy to understand. I've had a great time teaching students that previously, and I'm confident that this gifted body will be able to pick it up with no problems.
Senator Mitchell?
Yield to
So, if by any chance you don't get elected, how would you stay involved with the Senate? I know you are a senator, but then again, questions for all three of you.
I know, definitely. If I don't get elected to the speaker position, I still, of course, want to stay involved. I love student government. I'm going to do my best in my role as an SBS senator to pursue the projects that I have been with Lincoln, with OERs through like the Academic Affairs Committee. I want to stay involved in the CSU board that I was involved in before, pursuing the implementation of a quiet reflection space for our campus. And other initiatives that I would want to champion over the course of this year. So, yeah, I definitely will still be involved.
So if I'm not, elected speaker today, I still plan on being involved. As RHA president, I'm involved in the parking committee and the student affairs committee, so I'm sure I'll see you there. But overall, making sure that if I'm not given speaker and I don't have a seat at the table, making a lasting impact as myself. As a student, I'll reach out. I'm here as an advisor for each and one of you because truly you guys are awesome, and I want to see everyone here at the table, succeed in their role, because that means as a student body, we'll all succeed.
All right, so if I wasn't to be elected speaker today, I would still like to be involved. Obviously, I was not elected as a senator, so I know that there are other opportunities, committees, or other options, or attending Students United and things like that. So I would like to keep that involvement up, and I'd also like to keep my campus involvement up. My time in committees when I did serve as a residential life senator was great. I think my favorite one was probably the Preferred Name Implementation Committee. It was really cool to see the way that the administration works in implementing such a policy. So with that experience, I'm hoping that if I were to continue to be involved, whether it be through committee involvement, then I would have the necessary skills to serve the student body to the best of my ability. I know that there were a lot of initiatives when I did leave the Senate that I would like to continue. I'm happy to see that OERs are still working on getting implemented and things like that. But I think that I'd like to educate myself on where you're all at, and yield. day.
Senator Hoyseth?
How would you remain neutral and unbiased as your position as Speaker?
Absolutely, and that is the question, right? So when I was a residential life senator, I thought about running for Speaker, and I was like, I love sitting at the table. I love being able to share my opinion. I don't know what it would be like to be a neutral body, okay? So at that time, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. But this year, serving in a role that is essentially equivalent to Speaker, I've learned, what it takes to not only just not speak, but to also remain unbiased. I have a board of 7 that I have to oversee within the Midwest. We've had many discussions about not only does not speaking mean something, but your body language and facial expressions say something as well. And if you are to be professional, if you are to be polished, then you need to make sure that you're maintaining everything about you as being unbiased. So I wouldn't just want to take the approach of just simply not talking, but my entire being, I would work to maintain a level of being unbiased. So thank you.
So being unbiased, like I said earlier, I like to watch the discussion, to see where it takes place. I don't like to say much, but that's okay because you have to be observant. You need to know if the discussion is going to keep going. You don't want to make an opinion because ultimately the speaker is like a nonpartisan role. You're not there to make an opinion. You're not there to have one. You're there to make sure you all have the voice to say what you think, because you guys are the ones that were elected by the students around this campus to have the opinion, not me. Ultimately, the speaker is here to serve you guys, make sure your voice and the student senate here can work to implement changes across campus by remaining unbiased and efficient, and ultimately just clear and cut and transparent. So you're not making a decision on an issue or saying, you're not waving your hand or the gavel and saying, hey, I support this, do this. No one did a pretty good job at that. So I'd like to continue that.
Thank you. I appreciate that question. I think it's a very important one to ask, and it's very central to what I study, both in social work and international relations. When we're talking from the perspective of an ambassador or a mediator or a counselor, therapist, we discuss being impartial and being unbiased all the time. And anyone who also studies these fields will know that as human beings, we are incapable of being truly unbiased. So I think one of the important aspects of the role of speaker or one of the important traits that they need is the ability to self-regulate, the ability to take a critical eye at yourself and think, what do I think about this? How can I manage my own biases so that I can approach the situation in a truly impartial manner? And I think that's something that's going to be very important for the speaker to be able to do, and that's something that I've spent a great deal of time reflecting on that I would take forward with me in my professional career in addition to this one. Thank you.
So as of right now, there's no one on the speakers list. Is there anybody who would like to add to the speakers list? Senator Woody?
Could you tell me about your communication skills? Because I'm hoping that whoever gets elected, it'll be kind of easy to get a hold of you if there were to be a problem situation like class schedule. So how would you be reachable? Would you make yourself extremely reachable in let's say midnight? How would you do this? Try to make that happen.
Definitely, and that's something that I've had to learn a lot is in my time coordinating events with between Lincoln and MSU, as well as additional teachers that through or staff members at Lincoln in addition to at MSU. In addition to being in my office, of course, with the door open, available physically during the day, I am typically a night owl, so you potentially could reach me by email at midnight or even later. And I've definitely had a lot of experience maintaining communication between different groups of people in different positions in order to run things such as the cooperative events that I've done in Lincoln. I would make sure to work with Amber, our advisor and office worker, as well as the committees and those coordinators in order to ensure that we do keep in contact with each other and we're all on the same page as far as our governing policy is concerned.
So I'm very much an advocate of open door policy. You'll be able to reach me over Facebook, over text, email. I'll put a little thing on the door that says where I am and where and what time to what time, like no one did this year. Ultimately, I live across the street, so if you want to get dinner at 10 o'clock, I will walk over and get dinner. Just saying. So it's very easy for me to be able to be on campus, because I'll only be a walk away, 5 minutes. And ultimately, I'm here for you guys. This is a job to me. I'm here for you guys. I'm here to serve you guys. So if that means I have to wake up from a nap early to meet with you guys, so be it, because that's what you guys want. So.
Hi y'all. So timely communication is something that I have to deal with on an everyday basis. As the director of 42 institutions and all the residence hall associations and residents within them, I have to maintain within our policy a 24 to 48 hour response time, which is very strict. Since the organization I'm a part of is like a nonprofit corporation, you know, there is that element of customer service that I really think that I could bring to the Senate, ensuring that I am getting back to you and within a timely manner. I receive upwards of an easy day is like 30 emails that require like immediate action. So I've had to work a lot this year in order to organize myself to maintain that 24 to 48 hour response time. And I think that I could do that with you all as well. And I think it'd be important to connect with you individually as well about what your personal communication style is. If you prefer email or text, I'm down for whatever y'all want. So yeah. I didn't say stay until just now.
Senator Landis?
So, thank you. Thank you all for standing here. I do have like a two-part question. Is that yield to a two-part question?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Thank you. So you've each talked about leadership development, effectiveness of the Senate, and you've each talked about Robert's Rules of Order and the importance of that. I was wondering if you personally see any weaknesses in Robert's Rules of Order in achieving that development of the Senate and getting the voices out there, and if so, how you intend to modify that.
Absolutely. So can I just clarify the question before time begins? So you want to know what sort of the weaknesses of Robert's rules are and how those will be combated?
Yes.
Okay, so I think, honestly, the biggest weakness of Robert's rules is not knowing it. I think that when you do know it and you do understand the rules and you do understand procedure, the goal of Robert's rules is to make meetings run more efficiently and allow everyone to have a fair chance at contributing, okay? So I think that the biggest weakness of Robert's rules, honestly, is not knowing them. So I think, like I talked about before, I've been practicing a lot teaching Robert's rules. It's something that I have to do almost like every week when we have our virtual meetings and then in person as well. So I'd be happy to sort of bring that forward to you all, and I think you'd all really appreciate it. And then the second, that was how to yield.
So to me, Robert's rules, if you, like I totally agree with Gracie, if you don't know them, it's like you're drowning yourself in language. It's a book, it's like Shakespeare, it's another language almost. So you gotta be able to teach people how to use them and how to be effective with them, because they're there to make the meetings effective. And one quote I know from a former person I spoke to is the chief clerk at the Minnesota House of Representatives. He said that if you don't know them, you're not gonna know anything. You're not gonna be able to speak. It's like having a dog muzzle or a bear muzzle on your mouth. Like you just can't speak with it. So just taking the time to teach each and every one of you, being able to understand them, being effective with them. Because if you guys don't know them, it's part of your job, and it's hard to be effective in your job if you don't know them. So it's more about teaching than a weakness.
One of the things I do like about Robert's Rules is its ability to be adapted to different situations. I think one way that it could be interpreted as one way that it could that could translate to a weakness is if a speaker tries to implement Robert's Rules in a very rigid manner. Then I think there's a lot of weakness involved with like the tedium of it. Like if there's a vote that's clearly going to pass, keeping the structure of like okay, well let's vote on it anyway, I think is definitely something that could be frustrating. So one thing that I'm definitely going to do as a speaker is to be kind of more fluid in how it's implemented. Nolan last year did a lot of like votes by dissent rather than going through a yes, no, abstain vote for each individual motion that calls for one. So that would be my answer to like what's the potential weakness of Robert's Rules is tedium, especially if it's implemented without that sort of flexibility, and that's how I would combat that.
And your follow-up second question?
No, it's a two-part question.
Two-part?
Yeah.
Perfect. So currently there is no one on the speakers list. Is there anyone that would like to get on the speakers list? Okay, so with that, our candidates will now have a 1-minute closing statement. And Nathan, of course, you're up first, and then we'll start on your go.
Definitely. I think that this is a position that I can be most effective in because of my past experience with parliamentary procedures. I'm definitely going to prioritize making sure that the meetings are running effectively and efficiently first, in addition to keeping senators accountable to their responsibilities, working with the committee coordinators and that sort of thing to make sure that this year is as productive as it can possibly be. I'm very excited to potentially serve you all in this manner, and I do hope that you'll consider my candidacy. And in either case, I'm excited to work with you all for this next year. So, thank you.
Thanks so much for your time today. I know it's been long. I know everyone else has finals to do, but truly, I'm here to look to serve for you guys. I have run meetings before. I've been a part of the Patriot program. I've ran meetings at a professional level, met people that know how to do them. I've met and I've talked to them, and they've told me how to be an effective person, being able to communicate and being able to run meetings efficiently. Overall, I'm looking forward to if I do get elected, to know each and one of you, because you guys are all great, and I look to serve you guys. Thank you.
Hello. So I would first like to take the opportunity to thank you again for the ability to put myself forward as a candidate for speaker. As an individual who has served within this Senate, attended events and participated within Students United and other involvements on and off campus, I'm hoping that you can see that my experiences have led me to be a perfect fit for this role. When I see you all sitting here, I'm genuinely reminded of why I decided to get involved within student leadership in the first place. Putting yourself forward just to represent a constituency is incredibly commendable, and I want to make sure to take the time to thank you for your service to this university. I hope that by introducing new practices, maintaining practices that have been successful, and by uniting this Senate as a whole, I would be the speaker that you all want and potentially the speaker that you need. Of all the goals that I've shared, I want to be certain to emphasize the most important one that I have, and that is to ensure that you have a successful experience that allows you to grow not only as leaders, but as people while still advancing the university that we call home. I'd be honored to serve you in this capacity, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Perfect. So before we have you go, we'll just have you say your names one more time.
Gracie Smith.
Andrew Trenny.
Nathaniel Fusco.
Thank you. And then as they walk out, we'll give a round of applause. Yeah. Senator Ramsey?
Motion for a 5-minute recess for potty breaks.
Is there a second? Yes. Second? Is there anybody who dissents to a 5-minute recess?
I didn't get it,
Use it properly. We'll be out of date in about 5 minutes.
so kind. I was like, that's their way to see where the recommendation was. But I So I'm like, I'm not smart enough to on this, but I'm really excited to get a lot of people on both sides. So we just
Yeah, there's a whole on there. Yeah. See, and I was talking about that like
thank you,
but yeah, no, there's a whole presentation and everything, and it's during the math. It's like during the kids,
I'm really proud. Right?
Guys, I'm reading.
Even though you want to be, no idea.
Well, I'm just thinking.
Always. I know, I was here.
Oh, yes.
We have vacancies.
Like if you know.
Every time.
No, it's already been adopted.
Erica adopted you.
I mean, they're I don't know. I'm right here. One more time. That's alright. It's like the second time I started this. Yeah. No, it really sucks around the time. Like, I'm not.
I will regret that.
Several months a year, there's like somebody's using
Okay, so what's about to happen next? So up here we have the role of. So up here on the screens, we're gonna go to the role of the speaker. So for those that are unaware of what the speaker's role in the Constitution and MSSA, you can look to that and just take take moments to read it, and so you know when you're louder for what specific reason and to what function and position. So what's about to happen is that we're gonna go into discussion on the candidates. So discussion is basically, again, stick your hand up, I call on you, you can talk about the candidate, you can talk about what you're thinking of doing, you can literally, anything pertaining to the candidates out there. And for this specific election, I will allow people to bring in personal information that pertain to the candidate. So pertain to the speaker. So let's say you had person A, this person has this managerial skills and did this, not this person is a great friend. Does that make sense? So bringing in information that pertains to the role that we are currently discussing. Does anybody have any questions on what I just said or the process that we're about to do? No? And now the speaker position is up there, so take your time to read it. Yeah. Vice President Olufemi will now entertain us by reading us his speaker role.
Speaker of Senate shall be elected by a 60% vote of the Senate at the second regular meeting following spring elections and shall be a member of the MSSA of student government. The Speaker shall not be a voting member of the Senate, a member of the Constitutional Commission, or hold any other student government staff position. The Speaker shall be a chief administrative officer of the Senate, shall preside over the Senate meetings, set the agenda, make recommendations to the Senate regarding recognition of individual organizations, with the assistance of the Secretary, keep the records of all minutes, and perform other duties as the Senate may direct. The Speaker shall be responsible for all administrative correspondence, which results from Senate action, and shall forward to the University President any Senate action requiring University response and request the University President to respond in writing to the Senate within a specified time. The Speaker may recommend amendments to the Constitution and bylaws. The Speaker shall have the sole authority during Senate meetings to interpret this Constitution and its bylaws. The Speaker's interpretations are subject to subsequent appeal to the Constitution Commission. In the event of simultaneous permanent vacancies in the office of the President and Vice President, the Speaker of the Senate shall assume the duties of the President until a special election is held.
Thank you, Vice President Olufemi. So now we'll be opening the list for discussion. Senator Roba.
All right, so overall, I think all three of them are very qualified for it. It sounds like they've all had at least some type of experience regarding this position. But the one that stood out for me the most was Gracie, and that's just, I have three things that really stood out for me. Definitely her experience. It sounds like she has had a lot of experience not only with student government, but with chairing meetings. I mean, not chairing them in person and over video calls, which is, I'm sure, very difficult. And then she's able to teach us Robert's Rules, which I think is a very important thing because I only have like the very surface of it like down, and so it would be really nice to have somebody that would be able to do that and has experience teaching it too. And I also liked that it was great that they did reach out and talk to previous speakers, but I really liked that she talked to herself about her own ideas and implementations that she wants instead of just kind of talking about other things that other speakers have done. That really stood out to me. And overall, I think it's great for somebody to have new experience, because sometimes people kind of like to look at like, oh, well, you know, this could help this person grow. It's nice to have like a new face or anything. But I think that the speaker needs to be at a certain level, and there's like a certain level that they already need to be at. And I believe and have no doubt that Gracie's already there. With that, I yield.
Senator Christensen?
All right, thank you. Well, right off the bat, all three of them were wonderful, amazing candidates. I do have to say, Nathan, I have worked with him, being a senator alongside him. He is amazing representing his college. And in my personal opinion, I feel like he would be far more effective continuing to represent his college than be the speaker, because he does so much good work that I feel like him being a speaker would actually be limiting him on what he can do and how much success he can achieve. Andrew, he knows Robert's Rules the best out of anyone that I've ever met. And I've met quite a few senators here who do know Robert's Rules in general. So I really like that. I do think that they all would be neutral. Gracie, she was good. She knew what to say. She was good too, but I think I'm leaning more towards Andrew because I feel like he may be more biased than the other two candidates. Unbiased. Sorry. Unbiased.
Senator Ramsey?
I know. So, I mean, obviously everyone had good qualifications. Gracie had a lot of really good things going for her. But as far as Nate, I've known the guy for over 4 years now. He's the most dedicated, hardworking individual. He's got a lot of experience with the parliamentary procedure. And not only does he just know it, he loves it. It's not a job for him. It wouldn't be something that's work. This is something he loves. This is something he would have great fun doing. Like coming in saying, I don't know, Robert's Rules wouldn't be, I have to teach you. It would be like, yeah, let's learn Robert's Rules. And he really puts that enthusiasm and joy behind it that makes it something more than just a position. It's a really deep relationship he's going to have. And a lot of you already know Nate. He already has that foundation to be able to interact with everyone.
Pertaining to the speaker role, please.
Pertaining to the speaker role, as in he's already approachable. You can already come with him if you need some help with Robert's Rules, if you have a problem with attending a meeting, if you need clarification, he's already there for you. He's approachable, he's unbiased. I've seen him come into contact with some really difficult decisions, and he remained neutral until he heard all the sides of it. So overall, he's got the knowledge, he's got the skills, he's got the relationships already built. I think he'd be our best speaker. And he'd love doing it too. So I yield.
Senator Quinton?
All right, so in my opinion, all of them great candidates, obviously. The person who stood out to me the most is Nathan and Gracie. Andrew as well stood out to me. I mean, I doubt that he definitely knows Robert's Rule. I don't doubt that. But I'm just judging them based off the fact that the questions that were asked today, which they were all great questions, by the way. But like, I really paid attention to like the questions Senator Landis asked and the question I asked as well, and then just the way they kind of went about answering those questions. And to me, the person who did the best job answering the questions hands down was probably Nathan, because he actually all his answers were like so varied. It wasn't like as much as I want you to be unbiased, I want you to know Robert's Rule, but at the same time there were questions that were not pertaining to that, and I feel like Nathan did the best job just answering those questions hands down. Also Senator Gracie, not Senator Gracie. I mean, she was really good as well. Her involvement is just ridiculous. I mean, she's definitely has the experience, and I have no doubt that she'll be able to do a great job. But my only concern with that is that I'm not really sure how she would do in terms of how to when there's if there's a problem, I don't really know how she would go about dealing with that. So that's my only concern with her, but she's also a great candidate.
President Carter?
I'm definitely impressed with Gracie's experience. She has experience not only with the student government, but the exec board of the student government, which is something that the speaker does serve on. As well, that she has experience running meetings larger than our Senate. She has experience teaching. We do have a lot of new people around Senate this year, and it's important that each of us know how to properly conduct themselves in a meeting. And so definitely, I know if you're not aware of the procedures and Robert's Rules of Order, it can be difficult to have your voice heard on Senate. And so the fact that Gracie has already published a pedagogy of how to teach Robert's Rules and has different ways to teach different types of people will definitely serve her well if elected. And like I said, she has the experience running meetings in person, online, and she has experience teaching us, and I think that all of us need her in order to be able to convey our opinions and our voices on Senate next year.
Anyone else? The speakers are Senator Landis.
I think that it's hard to say that the other two candidates wouldn't do this, but the candidate that did mention, as far as learning Robert's rules, individually sitting down with people was Andrew. Again, it's tough to say, oh, the other two wouldn't, but I know he said it, and so that's in the forefront of his mind, and I think that individual coaching is going to be a huge aspect. That said, I do think we have three very strong candidates. I think Gracie came and was super polished, knew exactly what she wanted to say and do, and that's going to be a strength as a speaker. And Nathaniel, I think overall the quality of his answers were great. I tend to agree with Senator Christensen, and it's tough for me to say, oh, I think Senator Pesclo would be better as a senator if he wants to do something else. So it's a really selfish thing for me to say this, but I also think he would be a phenomenal senator. So, my thoughts.
So I think that all the candidates did very well. The two that stood out to me the most were Gracie and Nathaniel, as well as a couple of you already vocalized. I feel as though Gracie definitely strenuous work that she's done in this kind of position, and she has a new input that she can bring to this and help us kind of figure out what we would like to see with the speaker, because as all of you mentioned, it's us that are going to work with the speaker, so that's something to think about as well. Nathaniel also did a wonderful job on speaking and answering the questions, and I feel like he would bring a lot to this position as well, and got a lot to say about that's what he wanted to do. Andrew, however, I feel as though his answers and questions were very similar. None of them were new to me. I feel like I was hearing the same thing continuously, which is something that I just want to make everybody aware of, because that is somebody that wants to represent us, right? So that's something that spoke out to me that I just wanted to mention.
Senator Lisa?
Yeah, I would like to go on that point too. I was nervous about Andrew, being the speaker and saying that he was unbiased. The reason I asked that question is because the first thing that he mentioned when he came up was how he was uncomfortable with us being called student government. Like, that was one of the first things he said. And I mean, if you're going to be speaker and you're going to be unbiased about policies that are being changed, and that's the first thing he mentions, almost like he was holding a grudge against it, it makes me a little bit nervous about how he will be holding that position as speaker later. And then on that, I think that the points that Senator Roebuck made about Gracie, just like, she is so qualified for this, and then she also almost seemed like she cleared her schedule for this. Andrew is going to be RHA president. Nathaniel was going to can be a senator and has other things going on in his life, and she seems like she almost set aside time specifically to fulfill this role the best that she can, and that means I have a lot of confidence in her and her ability to be the best speaker for this. Yield.
Anyone else? Senator Carnes?
I also would like to, again, we have three really strong candidates, no doubt about it. I think we all know that. And they've all served Senate before, as Gracie has served in the past, and Senator Pescolo and Andrew Trenny serving on last year's Senate. But the thing about Gracie is that she has already considered being speaker in years previous, and she knew she wasn't quite ready for that, and she knew she still kind of held some biases, and so she waited until she was fully ready, and she is fully ready to accept this position. Thank you.
popped in my head too that I thought of was that in Gracie's opening, she mentioned that she had ambitions for next year. She wanted to make sure that we were all being aware of Robert's rules, like she wanted to teach us, she wanted to lead and have the most efficient Senate. And as someone who served on a Senate where I've seen meetings typically go 2.5 hours, I really don't want that to be our future next year. And so hearing that she already has plans and goals shows that she sat down, she talked to 3 previous speakers and really developed what she wanted to do if elected. And I think that shows that she took this seriously. She knew she wanted to be speaker and she did nothing else except run for speaker. Yep.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in discussion? So without any dissent, we're going to move into a vote. So the way this happens is basically just rip off a piece of paper. John and myself will come around to select them. And if you have trouble spelling their names, we will have all 3 of their candidates' names on the board.
I'll get this side.
Okay.
From Stevie over on this side.
None of the 4 dots.
Yes, your vote officers are to vote for one of the 3 or no confidence. What will happen is this vote requires 60%. So if not a single candidate receives 60% of the vote around the table, we will drop the lowest and then have another vote. Take your balance when you're ready. Thank you. No, I got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone still voting?
I've got 2.
You got 2?
You just gotta vote as well. Gotta vote.
I got her. Can we just start right here real quick while we're doing this? I want to make sure we have a good number. Can you start, and we're going to number all the way around the table. Start here. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 9, 10,
11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18,
20, 21,
22, 23, 24.
Let me check.
Okay, so we do not have an election. So right now, the candidate that received the lowest amount of votes will be taken off the list. And now we have two candidates on the board. I'm now reopening the discussion before we move to another vote. Does anybody have anything they would like to add? Senator Ramsey?
Another point on Nate's teaching experience, not only does he work volunteer, like managing volunteers, he was started off as an ESL teacher there. So not only is he like teaching, he's teaching where it's more difficult, where it's not so simple, where it's not so easy and involves an extra mile and dedication. He already has the experience doing that. I think that's something to consider going forward.
More so a question, can we know the total of the count for each person?
It's not been disclosed before, but it is up to you.
Anybody else? Senator Newtown?
Alright, so, I mean, personally, those are my two favorite candidates, to be honest, but, I think one way or the other, I think we're going to have a good speaker. But personally, I do want to say, I think Nathan really stands out to me, just because, I can totally see him doing great in that position, and like Senator Christensen said, and you mentioned as well, yes, it would be a great, I've worked with Nathan before in the 85th Senate, so he definitely is somebody that he dedicates a lot of time to what he wants to accomplish. So if he really wants to be a great speaker, I have no doubt he will be a great speaker. It's just a matter of like they mentioned, him having a senator position definitely gives him a wide range of opportunity to do a lot more for Senate than I feel like a speaker position would. That's why I'm leaning more toward Gracie.
Senator Christensen?
All right, so yeah, going off from points that have been mentioned, Nathan is going to be great in either position, and you know what? Kind of contradicting myself, but someone mentioned it, if he's choosing to run for speaker, and based off of his previous actions being a senator, he is going to be amazing in the role as speaker, and if he thinks that he can find more success there, who am I to say otherwise? If he's choosing to do this, he obviously thinks that he can do a really great job at it, and for that reason alone, based off of his previous actions and experiences and working alongside him, he's going to get my vote for speaker.
Senator Ramsey, this is your second speaking for him.
I'd like to point out as well, Nate doesn't have to stop doing the things he's doing because he's speaker. The community engagement and diversity he's doing isn't going to stop. He's still going to be talking with his internship. We're going to make sure that we're able to have these opportunities. That's not something that being speaker is going to stop him from doing. That's a cool thing about what a lot of things Nate does is being speaker wouldn't stop him. So he could do both and still be great and involved.
I think that with Nathan already holding a position on the Senate, we'll still get his help, but if we don't vote Gracie into speaker, we will lose her and her knowledge and her experience and the opportunity for her to lead us. So I think we should consider voting her in. I don't want to completely reiterate what I'd said, but to me, the speaker position, I think they'd both be great, but I know that I don't know a lot of stuff, and I want somebody that is able to teach me very well and already has that. Also, the main thing I'm looking for is experience. Somebody that knows what they're doing already with this position, and Gracie has that. She's already chaired meetings. Has so much experience with it, and that's the main thing I'm looking for is that experience, and I have no doubt that she has that. So.
I just wanted to go off your point real quick. I don't think that's a fair thing to say that we would lose Gracie altogether if we don't vote her in, because if the only thing that she's here to do is to be speaker and she's not going to do anything else with student government, I don't think we should want her as speaker. So I just wanted to say she's going to still be on committees and she's going to want to help us out. She's not just going to want to leave us completely. So just wanted to point that out there.
Right, similar to what Senator Erickson says, we cannot anticipate what people will do because they're not here to answer for their plans if not elected. But once again, I just think that Gracie is the most beneficial to the Senate. She's taught people before Robert's Rules of Order, and like, don't be afraid to say you don't know Robert's Rules. When I first sat on the Senate, I didn't know how to like talk or how to do those things, and so I think that having Gracie having experience teaching people have no knowledge and being able to do it, as she said, visual, communicative, physical, whatever that means, can benefit the most of you because some people around this table have no experience with Robert's Rules of Order and how to operate in a formal meeting, and so because Gracie has experience running them, teaching people how to get to that level, she's going to be the best person, I believe, to sit in this role and to do those things. And as well as, again, I said, she already has goals for next year. She knows what she wants to do, and she knows what she wants to take this Senate to.
Senator Roebuck, this is your second speaker.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, just to make sure that's cleared up, like, they both, like, this situation here, they all mentioned, like, there was a question saying, like, what would you do if you weren't elected, and they all mentioned that they would stay involved, so I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind with that, so.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, we'll move to a second round of voting.
I'll get this side for you this time. Thank you, thank you. Nobody left, right?
That sounded very sarcastic, but it's okay.
No, thank you. It smells like nice. Was it too late?
So, do not have an election. There was not a majority, there was not a 60% vote on either side of the candidates.
What do you?
So what is that? So now we're gonna go back into discussion.
Could we try to bring them back in, try to like ask them more questions to better, because it's, I mean.
No, because then we would have to take, we would have to bring in only 2 candidates. President Carney?
Okay, just looking at Gracie's resume that she brought in. She has so much diverse experience running, being a parliamentarian, being a chair for the McCurr Board of Directors, as well as the 43 schools. So as I said, she chairs meetings bigger than this size. She has, as been mentioned before, reduced her limits of outside involvement because she recognizes the commitment that Senate is, especially in the role of an exec board member, which she's probably seen before because she served on the exec committee as an academic affairs coordinator. She has experience in this Senate, in the exec positions, experience outside of Senate with different organizations, learning, running meetings, developing constitutions and revising them, and I think that I'm looking for the most experienced person, and it's Gracie.
Senator Ramsey?
So for both of them, there's a lot of points going to Gracie's experience. Nate has that experience too, not in the same ways, but he has that experience. And Nate went the extra mile to make sure no matter what, he would be involved with Senate. He's known he's wanted this, but no matter what, he wants to do his best by the students. He's already displayed that, as opposed to some other people. Like, Nate wanted that, no matter what. Speaker isn't his only option, but he's dedicated, and he showed he's dedicated by running through this whole election. He has the experience. He's not less experienced than Gracie. He's just as experienced. He has the teaching ability, and he already has the relationships with the people here. Nate would bring everything Gracie could, plus some more. And there's a lot of points going out there that try to say Gracie's more experienced, and like, she's definitely experienced, but Nate is too. So I yield my time.
Any other points of?
Just a small point too. I feel like we shouldn't put so much focus on the experience that people have, because like we said, or like some of you guys might have come into this role and like we don't really know what's going on yet. And as a speaker, or like when they get elected, they're gonna learn their role. They're gonna learn it just like we are. We don't know the ropes all the way yet, and they don't know the ropes all the way yet. Even though that they might think that they do, they totally might not once they actually get into the position when they're elected. And so yes, they might have the experience, and yes, like that's great and like that's wonderful, but that shouldn't be what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on like what they said in response to our questions, and we shouldn't just focus on that. I yield.
Was there somebody in this area with their hand out earlier?
Me, but she was first.
So no, you were first.
Okay.
So Senator Carr?
I would also like to say that I do know Gracie outside of this position that she's running for, and I know if given the chance, she would create.
Please specifically keep it pertaining to the role. So this person does this to the role, not about this person's a good person or this and this. Does that make sense?
Yes, I know what you're saying. I guess I was speaking on building relationships within the Senate. I know that Gracie would have the ability to do that, because I know Nate has done that already, because he's been given that chance, but we haven't even given Gracie that chance to do that yet.
Senator Rojas?
So just to kind of hit on the whole experience thing, the reason why I'm focusing on that is because this job requires a lot of experience. I don't necessarily want someone to go into this position to be like, oh, well, I'm gonna kind of learn on the go. Like, this is a position that needs experience, that needs like that step in there already. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. So like, I just want to like it's a position that like I said, you already have to be at a specific level, and I think that they're both very qualified. They both have a lot of experience, but the experience that I'm looking at is that this person, Gracie, already knows how to like run these meetings. She's done it all year. Can I say that I've seen her do that? Not seen it specifically, but like I've seen her, like I went to McCurr last year. Am I allowed to talk about that? Yeah, so I went to McCurr this past year. I saw her in action. I saw her doing her job, and she was doing it very effectively. And so I guess I'm very confident in that she has the experience and that she has the strengths to do this position. So I yield.
Since people are looking to get away from talking about experience, then I want to talk about how Gracie has goals too. She said in her opening, she wants to change the Senate, she wants to be able to teach people. I'm not going to talk about the experience how she's done it before, but she came in, she knows what she wants to do. She's talked to 3 previous speakers to see, okay, what are things that might have gotten left behind, because that happens every year. There are things that aren't being talked about. She wants to focus on the transition so that way in the future we're best assisting the future people elected. And so those are things too that Gracie knows what she wants to do and knows what this Senate can be. And the fact that she's already planning things before even being elected, and the fact that she's already been talking to people shows that she took the role of speaker seriously, because like she had said, she knew she wasn't ready at one point in her career, but now she feels she is, and that shows that this is what she wants, this is what she feels she's ready to do. And I trust that she is correct with those feelings.
Senator Thompson?
Can I make a point and then yield to somebody in the gallery as well, or no?
I'm not going to allow for gallery. No, I won't allow for gallery information, but you can make a point.
Okay. I want to make the point also, yes, I think when we're making these arguments, it's really easy to get, sorry. They both have goals and they both have experience. We need to realize that not one person is like more experienced than the other, or one person might have more experience than the other, but like they both have clear goals and they both have clear, just like, gosh, I don't know what this. Never mind. I yield. They both, yeah.
Senator Erickson?
I just wanted to say that one thing that kind of put Nathan over the top for me is how he's already, Gracie may have, I just may have like forgotten it or not heard it, but Nathan already talked about how many hours he'd be spending in the Senate office if he became speaker. So he talked about how he spent, what did he say, like 30, 35 hours a week in the Senate office. And like me being a new senator, like I would want someone there that I could be able to go to and know that they'd be there for help over the course of the next year for student government. And so I just wanted to say that that's one thing that stood out to me. Again, I could be wrong, Gracie may have said something like that, but that's one thing that stood out to me.
Senator Ramsey, this is your second and final speaking point. You only get 2. You only get 2 speaking points, so that's making it clear. What's your second?
So, Senator Whitty had kind of put up the question about how to communicate with people. I don't know about Gracie, but I know with Nate, he is one of the easiest to get in contact with if you need very quickly to be in contact with the speaker. If there's something going on with the meeting, you can get a response from Nate 5-10 minutes easy, and that can happen late at night, early in the morning. He's very accessible, he's very friendly, and there's going to be no problems with him. He's always going to do the best by the Senate.
Senator Whitty?
This is really hard for me because I know both of them, both in this area and outside areas, and both of them, looking just at them would be perfect, but going off, like my question was it had a direct meaning. I've worked with Gracie within things that she's mentioned here in her thing that would relate to this position, and communication is very important, and in the past, and I think Nathan would definitely be the easier person to get a hold of. Gracie has not been easy to get a hold of. I've literally had to go find her to try to get a conversation and ask questions, because there's been roles where I wanted to learn how to do my job and could not because it was hard to get a hold of her. She'd be great, and I'm saying she could change, but just within past experiences, this might be a problem. So there's why I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with Nathan. And with that, I yield.
Anyone else? Going once.
Sure. It's my last one, right? Second to last one? Okay. So I want to kind of branch off of that, what was just talked about. I think that Gracie already has like she already has to do like a 24-hour response thing with her position that she has now. And from what she said, it sounded like she did a very great job at that, always like, you know, having like up to, or almost 30 emails a day, having to respond to those immediately. I think that from what she said, she has good background on that. And then I'm going to throw this out there just because if we don't reach a decision or a resolution, then we're going to be here for a while. If we were to vote for Gracie, we would be able to have both of them. That's not necessarily how I exactly feel, but I'm throwing a resolution out there just for it to be out there for people to think about. I yield.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Senator Landis?
Thank you. I think that given the answers to some of the questions, asking about Robert's Rules of Order, of strengths and weaknesses, of just the way that they're presented, I think that I'll leave it up to you, my fellow senators, to decide. But the feeling that I get from both of them is that Senator Pesquo is a little bit more nuanced, whereas Gracie feels a little bit more like by the book, to the point, like I said before, polished, prepared. I'm not suggesting which one is better in a speaker, but that's kind of what I'm feeling. The way that Nathaniel responded to the Robert's Rules question, is that, you know, potential rigidity in it, but that there's ways to be nuanced in how you implement Robert's Rules, whereas Gracie's response was the weakness of it is if you don't know it well enough. And so that's just the feeling that I got from that.
Senator Quintan?
Call to question.
So there's been a call to question. What that means is that he's calling to question, which means he's moving to vote. And that needs a second. Second by Senator Kleinschmidt. Is there a dissent to call to question? Okay, now voting. Third round.
The official speaker ballot. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have to revote. So I took two. One is blank, but I'm not going to take any chances.
Just do that side. I got this side.
Okay, we're going to revote specifically on this side.
We're past that.
You're done. I'm getting out.
Last year, I would
Are you sure, John? She's rolling everybody. No confidence one. All right. So, first name, no, I was just making a joke. Oh, I do. Making a joke. First name, ignore the guy.
Okay, so we do have an election. We do. Congratulations to Nathan Fusco. Prior to assuming the role, you must tender your resignation as SBS Senator. Do you tender your resignation?
I do.
I can press it. Raise your hand. Vote like faction. Hold on. I state your name.
I, Nathaniel Fusco,
will represent and serve
the
students of Minnesota State University, Mankato,
the students of Minnesota State University, Mankato,
in student life and academic needs,
and
will uphold the mission,
Constitution,
and bylaws of Minnesota, and bylaws
of
the student government.
I so affirm.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Senators of the 86th session of student government. We will now continue with our agenda. First, is there anything for old business? Anything for new business? Go ahead, John.
If I may, this isn't necessarily new business, but you would need to announce or declare a vacancy for that Senate seat at this point.
So I would now like to officially announce that there is a vacancy for social behavioral sciences. So let your friends know we'll be doing that next year in addition to our other vacancies. I know we have some for Department of Education, Allied Health and Nursing. Is there anything I'm missing? Business.
Couple of
Business? One for SPS, two for education, one for education, and then one for allied health and nursing. Thank you, John. Anything else for new business? All right. Announcements. See nothing for announcements? Gallagher, sorry, David.
Okay. Hello, everybody. On Friday at 6 o'clock at the Ostrander, we're going to be having a concert. This concert is a collaboration with different RSs on campus, and so doors will be open at 6 o'clock, and the concert will start at 6:30. And it's a praise and worship concert, so if you're available on campus, come on out and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? Go ahead, Mark.
My name is Mark Constantine. I work in the CSU and student activities. I want to welcome the new senators that I might not know as well, and look forward to working with you. We'd like to always let you know that the CSU is your home away from home. We want to make sure there's anything that my staffs and student activities in the CSU can do or answer any questions. Be happy to do that at any time. We have a student union board that a couple of members around the room have been members of before. And we'll reconvene next year for that, and it's sort of the sounding board for us administratively, as well as bringing student concerns to the building as well. So congratulations, glad to have you all here. I want to mention just a couple quick things to you. Late night breakfast we have on Monday at 10 o'clock at night, free breakfast for all the students. Some of you in residence halls know that you have that on Sunday, I think the night before in the residence hall area, so 10 o'clock, come and get some food. We also have typically do some serendipitous events for finals as well, so we'll have massages for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 10-minute massages. Come down to the door on 201, 202, one of those rooms. There'll be a schedule there, so you can schedule up for that. And then we'll do our last therapy dogs. People can come in, want to relax a little bit while you're doing your things, and it'll be from 11 to 1 in the afternoon on Monday, and then we'll do it again from 6:30 to 8:30 in the evening as well. So come and de-stress a little bit during that time, and look forward to a great year next year. Thank you.
John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam President, may I talk about a couple of the coordinator positions real quick?
Yeah.
From an advisory role. So, as you know, or as you may or may not know, there are several coordinators that are appointed by Madam President for the association. One of those is the Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator, the position that Madam President actually held this year. So, I'm going to stress the importance of that one right now because there's actually some work for that person to do over the summer. And so if you happen to know somebody who might be interested in that role, whether they are sitting around this table or not, please talk to them about visiting with Mimi about that so that that position can be filled. Many of you are aware that we get 6,000 free planners that MSSA, or student government, distributes on an annual basis. And the design work of that, or the coordinating of the design work and the distribution of that is up to that Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator. And so we need somebody who's going to be willing to do some work on that over the summer. But then also there will be other coordinators appointed for student affairs, academic affairs, and a lot of other spots. So if you are interested or know people who might be, please approach Mimi about that so that those positions can be filled, or at least get people working in those roles. Although the official appointment after this meeting will not be able to be made until the first meeting. So if you know people who are interested and qualified, please have them step up. There's some vitally important stuff that needs to happen before we get back in August.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Were there any further announcements? Caitlin, Vice President Ogun from
So just to for clarity's sake, that this document that you were signing on your office hour availability, sorry, not that. Yeah, this, my bad. So yes, okay, I got confused for a bit. So this document is not for this year. So if you are putting hours down, it's only for next year, right? Because next year is when you're really going to fully take on the role and be expected to meet those office hour requirements. So I just wanted to clarify that so that there's no confusion on if you're putting all hours down for the rest of this year. There's no more hours for the rest of this year.
Former President Abdulaziz.
Whoa, civilian, sorry. I just want to say, so next year, I'm currently president of the Pre-Law Society, so anybody who's interested in doing a legal career, this semester we actually had an event in this very room where we had judges, county attorneys, and our very own lawyers that worked at Knutson and Casey. So we talked to people who are currently working in the legal field. So next year, since I have a lot of free time on my hand, I'll be taking that up like fully, and we'll be doing a lot of speakers bureau. So I'll personally be inviting people who work in the legal field in certain political offices, in law firms to come in. We want to do it on a bigger scale. So if you're interested in possibly going to law school, meeting some cool people, getting free food, let me know.
Griffin.
Just really quick, so our current allied health and nursing centers already know about this, but T21 is looking at getting more people to help with that. The T21, for those that you don't know, it would be moving the tobacco age from 18 to 21. You get this beautiful shirt, you get familiar with talking to council members. Might be put in the newspaper or in the news, it's a little intimidating, but it's awesome. So if you're familiar or if you have any experience with that or just feel passionate about it, talk to your allied health and nursing senators. The more people, the better. Currently, I think it was this past Tuesday, they addressed it in St. Peter. Currently, North Mankato is adapting it. And I think that's all for what they have right now. But they'll be continuing that into next year, too, as far as I'm aware. There you go.
Are there any further announcements? Senator Mitchell.
Saturday is Maverick Day of Service. So if you're not already signed up, it's the Community Engagement Office's biggest event of the year, and we have partnered with agencies all over the community. So if you need volunteer hours or if you just want to get more connected, there's going to be a band afterwards and free food, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you can sign up on OrgSync or find me or go to the Community Engagement Office.
President Cronin.
Yes, so I have 2 points. One, I know you're all excited to be in this role, so when you tell your family and friends about you being a senator, just make sure that you are staying student government. We are no longer MSSA. Do not even mention MSSA. Get it out of your vocabulary. There will be work done this summer to take down some relics. Whatever that word was, I can't remember. But just make sure that you're referring to us as student government, because the best way to enact that change is to hear it from other people, especially the people sitting around this table. Do not refer to us as anything but student government. And secondly, I would like to introduce, this is Amber. She's our office manager. Some of you are probably wondering, like, oh, who's this person sitting at the table with my senator? It's Amber. She works in our office and she helps a lot. So get to know her. She's really nice. Yeah, just so you all know who Amber is, and she's the person that puts things in your mailboxes. You all have a mailbox next year in the Senate office that I encourage you to check, because there are things in there that you will need. But just so you know, she works at the table or the desk. She's our office manager, and then also we have a student assistant worker. And her name is Allison. She works in the office. She's not here right now, but I just encourage you to get to know these 2 people because they're really great and they can be really great assets to you next year.
David, you have something?
Yeah. Just also looking ahead for next year, in case you have, we're going to be reaching out to you guys over the course of the summer, but for the reporter, if you have a story of an event that's coming up.
Do you have a microphone that we could get up?
Sure.
Is that still up there?
Thank you. Thanks. Just in case you have an event or a story that you would like us to write or maybe run for next year, just keep that in mind. You can also send us a mail at the MSU Reporter. Link is on the website. I don't know the email by heart right now. And also, we're looking to get some positions filled. I know right off the top of my head, we have the web editor position open, and so we'll be looking for that position to be filled over the summer. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Senator
Erickson. So for those of you who don't know, at the library, this weekend we're open extra hours for exam week. Yay. To get ready. So on Friday, instead of closing at 7, we're now going to be open till 10. Same with Saturday. And then we do open at 10 a.m. on Sunday as well. So that's about 10, 11 extra hours that we will be open for you guys to study. So that's fun.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, we will now proceed with roll call. As we go on, make sure that you state clearly that you are in fact present. I will look at hard of hearing. And also, if I mispronounce your name, please let me know. I want to get that right. So, we'll begin. Senator Thompson.
Here.
Senator Erickson.
Here.
Senator Ramsey.
Here.
Senator Schmidt.
Here.
Senator Kleinschmidt.
Here.
Senator Osu. Here. Did I get it right? Yeah. Fantastic. Senator Cronk.
Here.
Senator Landis.
Here.
Senator Abraha. Senator O'Brunty. Senator Silwall.
Here.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, he is no longer here. Senator Christensen.
Here.
Senator Kintan.
Yeah.
Senator Whitty.
Here.
Senator Chaiti. Senator Sajal.
Here.
Senator Malami. Senator Shrestha. Senator Basha. Senator Moyne. Senator Mitchell.
Here.
Senator Rye. Senator Zimmer.
Proxy.
Senator Horsack.
Here.
Senator Roba.
Here.
Senator Albright. Senator Lamprich.
Here.
President Cronin. Vice President Hogan Palumbi. All right, fantastic. We'll see you all next year.